right. Well, hey, welcome everybody to the May 2023 meeting of the Google Educator Group of Ohio. Thank you so much for being here with us. This is a monthly meeting typically where we look at everything new in Google for education over the last month. We share Googly tips and tricks and answer questions related to using Google tools in school. So howdy, everybody. My name is Eric Kurtz. I'm a technology integration specialist for the Stark County Educational Service Center for SPARC, the Stark Portage Area Computer Consortium, up here in Northeast Ohio, where I support about 35 school districts on using technology in their schools. I am joined by John, as usual. John, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself as well?
Yeah, hi everybody. John Mansell-Pladel. I am with the Northwest Ohio Computer Association, Northern Buckeye Education Council. We're located up in the northwest corner of Ohio, and I am the professional learning group supervisor. So I have a team of educational technologists, and we work with our 40-odd school districts up in the northwest corner of Ohio. And it's great to be here for our last meeting for the school year. Looking forward to a summer of leisure before we get back to it again in August.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you being with us here today, John. We are sometimes also joined by Stephanie and Sarah. Today, they had some other obligations, but between the four of us, we are your GEG Ohio co-leaders. But I like to say we're your lead learners because we are learning right along with you and excited to be learning with you here today. Now, even though this is the Google Educator Group of Ohio, anybody's welcome from wherever you're at. You do not have to be an Ohio person to take part in these meetings. I do see from the chat folks already saying hello. I'm seeing Indiana, I'm seeing Illinois, I'm seeing Arizona, I'm seeing Columbia. So that's fantastic. If you do want to take a moment and say hi in the chat, please do so. John and I will do our best to keep an eye on those and answer questions that you might have throughout the session. To make sure that everybody can participate in our meeting here today, be sure that you do have the agenda document open. If you're watching live, you can follow right along with us. If you're watching the recording later, you'll definitely want to have this agenda document open as well. What I'll do for those that are here live, I'll just drop the link directly in the chat in case you don't have that open yet. For everybody else, you can always get to this at the GEG Ohio website, which is bit.ly/GEG Ohio. I'll go ahead and pop that website open here, and I'll show you where to find all of these links. So when you go to the GEG Ohio website, we do have the monthly meetings link. If you follow that link, you'll see a Google Sheet with all of the meetings. For example, here is today's May 31st, and the agenda link is right there. So you can always get to the agendas and the live videos, which become the recorded videos afterwards at, again, bit.ly/GEG Ohio. This document is editable once you get in there, so please do feel free to add things to it. There's a couple of spots I would probably point out would be best for that. The upcoming events. If you know of a training or a webinar or a conference or some sort of event that people may want to take part in, please drop that in the upcoming events. I would say another good spot to add things would be down in the show and tell section. There's a spot for John and myself and Stephanie and Cher, but there's also a community show and tell section, so you can add in resources, helpful extensions or updates or things you've come across, a neat project you're doing, really pretty much anything you would like to share there. We would love to learn from you. And then at the very bottom of the document is the Q&A section. So that's another great place to add content if you got a question for the group or if you got a response to a question that shows up. In addition to that, please feel free just to drop comments in the chat as we work through our meeting here today. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get on into this. As John said, this is our last meeting of the school year. things tend to slow down a little bit in the summer as far as updates, and folks are heading off a lot of different directions. So we typically do not do a June or July meeting. So I do have listed here, our next meeting is scheduled for August 30th. Typically, these will still continue to be the last Wednesday of the month. So, hey, you can go ahead and add this to your calendar already so that you're all set and ready to go when we do come back after the summer. That will be a pretty big meeting where we cover all the new updates for the new school year. But there's quite a few updates that we have that we're going to be looking at today. So let's get on into this. So we've already covered the welcome and the introductions. Under important links, as always, I will encourage people to please sign in. We do have a link here highlighted in green that goes out to a very simple Google form where you can pick today's date and you can fill in the basic information, your name and email address and such. And that allows me to generate a certificate of attendance to send out to you, and also allows us to report numbers to Google so they know how many people have been attending our meetings. Next up, just a reminder to stay connected in between the meetings with our different groups. We do have the Google Educator Group of Ohio, which is an email discussion group, and we have a Facebook group as well. I think our email discussion group is now well over 1,400 members. So what an amazing way to connect with lots and lots of amazing educators. If you got questions, comments, resources that you want to share, this is a great way to do it. So please consider joining that group if you have not done so already. And then lastly, before we get into the meat of things, upcoming events, some of these are Ohio specific, but a lot of these have a virtual element, even if they are. So even if you're not from this area, you can still participate one way or another. So as you can see, we've got things such as the Create Conference coming up, the High Impact Conference for Educators, the Ohio Leadership Summit, and the Spark EdTech Conference, GTech, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to mention just a couple things here. And then, John, if you want to add anything into these, please feel free to. What I'm going to do a quick shout out for. One thing is with the Spark EdTech Conference, that's the one that I organize each summer for my job here at Spark. We have now posted a tentative session list. So if you have not had a chance to take a look at that yet, that has been recently updated on the conference website. So that's at conference.apps.spark.org. If you head out to that link, you'll now see there is a live sessions section on here. And if you go into that, you will see the tentative list of sessions. We have 6 time slots throughout the day with 7 sessions going on in each time slot. So 42 live sessions throughout the day. A lot of amazing people from all around who are going to be sharing those sessions. And what's neat about this conference, we're trying to make this as accessible to everybody as possible. And so this is both an in-person and a virtual conference. If you come in person to the Stark County Educational Service Center, fantastic. You can come and attend the sessions live. If you're not able to, that's okay. You can register and attend virtually. We will be streaming each of these sessions live so that you can, just like you're watching right now, you'll be able to attend the sessions live. And you know what? Even if that doesn't work for you, because for some reason, July 18th, that's just not a good day for you, they're also being recorded so that you can watch those sessions later. So hopefully we got all your bases covered there. And on top of all that, it's free. So what a great way to wrap up a summer and get ready to kick off a new school year. I would encourage you to get registered for that if you have not done so already. And other than that, the only thing I really added, I did put in a couple of links with ISTE coming up. So the tail end of June, hopefully, I'll get a chance to see a lot of folks at the ISTE conference this year. I am doing quite a number of sessions, so I did put in a link to my sessions that I'll be doing at ISTE. So if you will be there, I'd love to connect with you. I've got quite a few going on there, and I have them all listed out here with all of the details as far as time and location and what the different sessions are going to be. So would love to connect with folks there. In addition to that, a couple of little things that I also also mentioned was if you are attending, I did put together a sharing document. I do this for a lot of conferences just as an easy way to connect. And so that is also linked in here. If you will be attending ISTE, this is a great way to be able to connect with other people to say, yep, I'm going to be there. You can put your contact info in this document, but also are there certain sessions that you're presenting? Put those in there. That's great. But then there's things like mixers and events and meetups, attractions and restaurants and things to do and see, questions about the conference. So this is a really nice central spot to be able to connect with loads of other people in planning for attending the ISTE conference. And one fun thing that I'm putting on everybody's radar here, if you're attending, is on Tuesday night of the ISTE conference. Several of us are organizing a board game meetup, and I do have information about that also in my blog post there. We're still setting the exact location and time, but Tuesday evening will be that. And I do have a form you can fill out here. If that sounds interesting to you, you can say, hey, yeah, that sounds kind of cool. I'd like to stay in the loop on that. And so as we nail down the exact location, we can give you all the information on that as well. So those are just a couple of upcoming things. John, did you want to add anything to our upcoming events?
Yeah, I added the Create conference, which is it's co-sponsored by Northern Buckeye Education Council, and we have probably some familiar faces that are going to be at that one. Some Ohio names: Ryan Collins, Christine Danhoff, Stephanie Howell is doing 2 sessions. Christy Hughes.
Wonderful.
Lots of presenters from Northern Buckeye. I'm doing one called Google Sheets Aren't So Scary, which I inherited from Chris Malanga, who had been presenting that, has done that at several conferences this year. So looking forward to that. There is going to be a keynote that is going to be done as a panel talking about AI and ChatGPT. So that's going to be something to look forward to. I think it is $20 or $25. Well, that covers your lunch, and lunch is if you're a Toledo or have ever been up there, Tony Paco's, and their chili dogs are apparently world famous. So those are going to be served for lunch at the Create conference. And then the other one, that's the beginning of the summer, so that's next week. And then in August, we have the other session that I put on there was the Create conference, which will be at Genoa High School, I believe, this year, although it's going to be moving to a different school. It's Christine Danhoff is a friend of ours. She now is with the North Point ESC, Educational Service Center, and I believe the Create conference is going to move around to different schools. It's traditionally been, it's called GTech because it was at Genoa, but and Genoa, if you don't know, is east of Toledo. It's sort of between Toledo and Cleveland. So it's a short enough drive for the folks that are from Cleveland and from the people from the northwest corner there. And it will have, there'll be some good sessions on there. The call for presenters is still open, but we're starting to put together the final session list for that. I'm on the organizing committee for that one as well. So, we're trying to provide some in-person opportunities for teachers at the beginning of the school year, and also like the Create conference kind of wraps up the school year. So if people have some time, I think those ones they're small conferences, probably 200 to 300 people, but those are sometimes worthwhile. You get to meet other people that interested in the same things that you are, and it's usually a very enjoyable day, not too stressful, and you learn a lot.
Well, that is fantastic. And yeah, I absolutely would echo what you're saying. A lot of these are smaller conferences, but that's a great way to connect. So Create, the high impact conference, that's here at the Stark County Educational Service Center as well. The Spark EdTech conference that we do here, the GTech conference. But it's a great way to connect, and either they're low cost or no cost for most of these. So fantastic. All right. Well, hey, I hope to see a bunch of you at these. I'm really looking forward to learning with you at these upcoming events. All right, well, let's get into the meat of the meeting, which is what is new in Google for the last month. So our last meeting was near the tail end of April, so there was a couple of updates that came in after our last meeting, so I've included those. But then when you get into May, what you'll notice is I did break May out a little bit. You got the first chronological events in May, and then Google I/O occurred, which is Google's annual conference where they release a lot of new updates. So I put it in its own section there. And then after that, the I/O section, then I picked right back up chronologically with the rest of May. So there's a lot of content here. I am not going to, of course, cover all of this as normal. Anything that has a bolding on the date, those are the ones that jumped out to me. And I thought I would at least spend a moment on each of those bold ones to draw attention to those. But hey, if you've got questions, if there's something that we skip over that you're interested in, let us know. Put it in the chat, put it in comments on the side, whatever works best. And I would love to hear your take on any of these things. All right, well, let's go ahead and get on into what is new in Google from the last month. So from April, just a couple of things at the tail end of April. One was Google put out a nice blog post talking about taking advantage of the new Google Photos app on Chromebooks for creating a movie. So when it comes to Chromebooks, this is a common topic. How can you do video editing on a Chromebook? And I think over time, we've mentioned a lot of different tools out there. This is just one more option. So turns out that Google's Photo app on a Chromebook will allow you to put together a pretty basic movie. So I don't want to oversell this. We're not talking about multi-track digital video editing here, but what we're talking about is an easy way to be able to grab photos and videos on your Chromebook or from your Google Photos, put them together, rearrange them, put them in different orders. If they are videos, trim them up, pick the spot that you want, add some music in if you would like to put some music in as well, and ta-da, create a movie. So pretty straightforward, not a whole lot of fancy features here, but at least it's something that, again, if you're looking for a native tool on a Chromebook. So I did try this out. And I will go ahead and I'll pull over the example that I created here. So let me pull this over here. So yes, those are baby skunks. So I was just recently at an Airbnb where outside of the Airbnb in the yard right next door, there were baby skunks. And so I took some videos of them and I decided, well, okay, I'll just go ahead and I'll try out this. So on my Chromebook, I grabbed these videos, put a couple of them together, put some music in there. Here, I'll go ahead and play you guys some baby skunks here. We'll get these opened up here. So, and there is some background music, which I think adds, but I might mute it here just a second. But they're like the cutest things in the world. So I'll skip up a little bit because then they get into the grass. Well, there they are. And I'll go ahead and mute the music, although I think the music does add a little something to it. So anyway, these were just videos I shot with my phone. And then because they were in Google Photos, I was able to, on my Chromebook, just select the videos and put them together, trim up the ends, add some music in, and ta-da, I've got baby skunk video going on there. So anyway, Peggy says, you were very brave. No, I was up on a balcony. So I was nowhere near getting sprayed by any of these incredibly cute baby skunks. I was safely about, 15 feet up on a balcony somewhere there. But anyway, so the point behind all this is just, if you are using a Chromebook, which many of us are, or our students are, one more option here for some basic, simple video editing, either for videos or images. Great way to put a collage together of videos as well. All right. Thanks, baby skunks. We appreciate, whoops. exit back out of that. There we go. We'll just perfect. All right, there we go. So good, good stuff. All right. And I was wondering, Peggy was asking about the spray. I was wondering if baby skunks can actually spray, and they can. I got curious, so I did a little Googling afterwards, and yeah, they don't spray a whole lot, but if they're able to walk, they're able to spray. So their stinkers do come in pretty young for them. So that's
Eric, we take skunks for granted. Myself, having lived in the United States for nearly 25 years, it's just we get used to the idea of having them. But I remember when I lived in Australia, and I would see. You remember the Disney cart? What was it? Walt Pepe Le Pew. And
sure,
I can't believe that there's an animal that protects itself by just making a smell that's so bad that no one wants to go near it.
Yeah.
And yet when I came here, I was like, what is that smell? And it was like a cross between like coffee, burnt rubber, and basil, I think.
Yeah,
and it was that's a skunk. And I said, oh my gosh, that really, because 1993, I had never been to America before. I didn't know. So you know what it is. And you certainly know if you get... if they spray you, you certainly know about it.
Oh yes. I guess that's a good point, John. Yeah, we kind of take it for granted. We're used to the idea that a skunk is a normal thing. But all right, well, fantastic. Well, hopefully your students, if they're using Chromebooks, can take advantage of this new Google Photos tool to create some movies. Let's keep on moving. Another thing from the end of April, very small update here, but hey, it's a nice one. The ability to replace images even quicker in Google Slides using a drag and drop feature. And I'll demonstrate this so you can see what I mean. But the idea is, here, I'll just pull one over. So let's say I got the slideshow here, and I've got an image in the slideshow, in this case, a satellite view of the Columbia Glacier. And let's say I want to replace this image. Now, in the past, to do this, you would click on the image, then you would click Replace Image, and then you could upload a new version in place of the old one, which is still perfectly fine. That works great. Turns out, though, now, if you do have pictures, so for example, I'm just going to grab, this is a little folder I have where I've got just some demo pictures I use for different things here. If I've got this picture of the Columbia Glacier here, and I simply drag and drop it onto this and let go, boop, it just will update it automatically. So now we can do drag and drop instead of having to click the image and then hit replace image and then go find it. If you have that image available in your Windows Explorer, for example, you can just drag and drop it right onto the slide and it will replace the earlier image. So nice, easy way to do that. And anything that saves a little bit of time is always good. All right, let's keep on moving. So we got into May. Couple of announcements before we hit the big I/O announcements. One was that Google rolled out some AI experiments with Google Arts and Culture. There were 4 of these, and I think they're all fun to play around with. But the one that I've usually been drawing attention to is the one called Odd One Out. And this is an AI experiment where basically they're taking paintings and sculptures and content from Google Arts and Culture, and they're matching it up with AI generated images. And the idea is you're supposed to see, can you guess which image was AI generated and which ones were actual artworks from Google Arts and Culture. So if I go ahead and pop this open, I'm terrible at this. I lose all the time, but this would be a good way to have a discussion about, okay, can we identify what is an AI generated image versus, what's not. So if we go ahead and launch this, again, what's going to happen is it's going to include one AI generated image, and the rest of them are real pictures from Google Arts and Culture. And again, I'm terrible at this. So, one of these is AI generated. Maybe I'll say this one. Nope. How about this one? Nope. How about this one? No, it was this one. Oh my gosh. Okay, you only can miss 4 times. See, I did very poorly there. So it was aloe. How about the word lighter? So which one of these was AI generated? Maybe this one? Whew. Okay, I got it right that time. Now you get the idea. So you have up to 4 misses, and then after you've missed that many times, fedora. Let's see. I'm going going to say maybe this one's AI generated. Oh, see, I'm getting better at this now. But nevertheless, you can then check out and see what these other pictures were. If you like, if you want to pause and not just move on to the next round, you can go, oh, so what was this? And you can click here, and you can, it'll take you out to Google Arts and Culture, where you can actually read about that particular painting or sculpture or whatever the case that it might be. So heads up on that. That's a neat tool to begin I think a good discussion about, what is AI generated and what is not.
Does it tell you which AI generated the image?
I didn't look at that close enough. So that's a good question. I would say check that out and see. They also have an article specifically about it. I don't know. Good question, John. I am not sure. That would be good.
I thought that was a pretty good fedora that it did.
Yeah,
and I haven't come across one that does quite as good a job as that yet. So I'd like, if there's one like that, I'd like to know what it is.
All right. Well, let's see. That brings us almost up to I/O. Next up, we have the option to turn Google Bard on or off for school users. So Google Bard is Google's generative AI chatbot, similar to ChatGPT. It rolled out months ago, but it was only available for people with personal Gmail accounts. So it was not something that was turned on for Google Workspace users, so schools and businesses and so forth. It is now available to be turned on for your school account. You just have to do a couple of quick things in the admin console. And I can show you what all that looks like here. I'll pull over my admin console here. So there's a section called Early Access Apps. And what you need to do is go to the apps section in your admin console, go to additional Google services, and then early access. And then once you get in there, you can turn on early access apps for your entire domain, or you can turn it on for specific organizations. You can say, I want this on for everybody in this OU or just specific people. That way you can decide, if you don't want to have this turned on for everybody right away, no worries, you can control that. The caveat is they are saying this is only available for users who are 18 and over. So at the moment, not yet available for students. So if you have gone into your admin console and you've already designated who is under 18, then it's just no worries. It will not work for them if somebody's in an OU that is designated as under 18. If not, then you would need to make sure that you are only turning it on for the appropriate organizational units. And if you're not sure about that, that's a whole other thing. There's a section in an account settings. There's an age-based access settings where you can go in organization by organization and say whether or not there are users under 18 within any of your OUs. And if you've got that set, then no worries. Bard would not work for them anyway. So for now, just for 18 and above, but that is what you would want to do. Head on into your early access apps under the additional Google services and get that turned on. And as soon as you do, then you're good to go. So like if I head over to bard.google.com, this is my school account, my Stark County, my Spark account. And so boom, there it is. And I'm into Bard and ready to use that. All right. Good stuff. Well, that then brings us up to Google I/O. And again, not going to go through all the stuff here, but I tried to pull out several of them and I pulled to the top that I'm going to at least touch on. These are a lot of like what's coming soon, the things that Google plans on rolling out in the coming, weeks and months here. And Google I/O is a conference where they have a chance to highlight those things. If you want to get all the details, I do have a central blog post here from Google that has all of the 36 articles that they publish related to I/O. So if you want to dig into any of these even deeper, they're all here as well. But then I've broken most of them out here. So let's hit some of the key things. All right. So one of the first things they talked about is what is coming for Bard. So now we know you can turn on Bard for your educators, and of course you can use Bard, with your personal Google account already. Well, what is coming for Bard? And there's quite a number of things that they listed here. I'll pop this open and I'll demonstrate some of these for you. One of the big ones is that again, the wait list is gone. It's open now to over 180 countries. Pretty much most folks can use Google Bard now. Some of the updates that they mentioned here include the ability for Bard now to support images. Now, at the moment, it has rolled out that you can now get images inside of the responses. What's going to be coming soon, in addition to images in the responses, is going to be images in your queries. That has not come out yet, but the ability to actually submit a picture as part of your query and then to have Bard use Google Lens to analyze that image. But let me show you what it looks like to have images in the responses here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to probably pull over my personal Google Bard just because it has a few more things turned on in it. And that way we make sure that we can see everything. So since we said we're going to be having the ISTE conference in Philadelphia, maybe I'm interested in what are some of the best attractions to see in Philadelphia. So if I come in here and I ask Bard that question, my guess is it's probably going to include pictures. I'm not even asking it specifically about images, but that's the type of a question I could see it. Yep, and it sure is. There we go. So as we start looking down the list here, it's mentioning some of the key attractions to visit while I'm there in Philadelphia, and it is giving me an image for each one of those. I've really enjoyed having this feature in the Bard responses. For a lot of the questions I've been asking lately, I've been getting pictures right away, and that just goes along. I mean, I love the AI as it's been, even without the images, but having the pictures in there is just a whole other level that I think has really been very beneficial for me. So I've enjoyed that very much, having those pictures built right on into there. All right, let's see. What other things did they mention about Bard? It has a dark theme now, which that's pretty straightforward, but sure. There you go. If you want to switch into dark theme, you do have that available now. The export option. So this is cool. So anytime you get a response now, if you scroll down to the bottom of the response, there's a little button here, which is your export button. And so if I click on that, I can send this response to Google Docs or to a Gmail message if I want to create a draft and send it off to somebody. So let's say I want to export this to Docs. Now, it doesn't grab the images yet. It is just going to grab the text, but still, that's great. If I open that up in Docs, now I have all of that content ready to go. And so it can give me a jump start. Now, of course, I could just copy and paste from Bard over into Docs, but I think that's still nice to have a quick, easy way to put that right into your document there. And then the next thing I can't show you because this has not rolled out yet. So I'll go back over to the blog post, and that is Bard is going to be picking up a lot of integrations with other tools. And I just went right past it. So let me open this up so you can see it a little bit better there. For example, Bard is going to be integrating with Adobe Firefly. So Adobe Firefly is Adobe's text to image generator, similar to DALL-E or Imagen or any of these other ones that are out there. And so right from Bard, you will be able to ask for an image, and it will then connect to Adobe Firefly, generate those images, and bring those AI generated images, boom, right back inside of Bard. So I'm looking forward to having that integration just tightly built right into it there. So those were some Bard updates that they mentioned that will be coming soon, which is great. Now, in addition to that, there's another blog post that they put out at I/O with what they're calling Duet AI. And so this is Google's AI, but instead of being a standalone like Bard, like you would go out to the Bard website and ask these questions and then send them over to Docs or such, Duet is more of the AI being built right into Docs and Sheets and Slides, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I can demonstrate some of these for you. They're not all available yet. But for example, if we pop over here to the blog post, some of the ones that they mention include how in Google Slides, the ability to generate images right inside of Google Slides. For this example here, they're saying, hey, I need a picture of a giraffe standing in front of the Eiffel Tower done as a watercolor. And then you can pick the style that you want. And then boom, 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 it's going to create those images. And then, of course, you can add those AI generated images right into your slideshow. This one is not live yet. I'd love to show it to you, but I don't have access to this one yet. So we'll just have to take this GIF as an example of what that's going to look like. Other things they mentioned is having the AI built right into Google Sheets as well. So again, if you have a need, hey, I'm trying to set up a project, boom, 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 it can set up a grid there for you to fill in all of your project details. In Google Meet, they mentioned generating unique backgrounds for video calls. In Google Docs, it talks about having the AI built into Docs, including creating custom AI building blocks right inside of Docs. Now, I can't show you exactly that, but I can show you at least the AI inside of the Docs portion of it. That I can show you. So, for example, let me pull over my my Docs on my personal account. So here is my personal Gmail account. And inside of here, I have a document. And what you'll notice is that on this account, when I go in and I click in Google Docs, I get this little sparkly pencil off to the side. That is the AI, the Duet tool they're talking about, where it's built right into Google Docs there. And so, again, I could go to Bard and I could ask it things and then copy and paste them over. But what's nice is this will allow me to not have to do that. So, for example, let's say I'm wanting my students to pick a prompt and write an essay on the topic of vacations, but I'm kind of drawing a blank on what would be some good prompts. Well, I could come here and I could click on the little sparkly pencil and I could say something like, hey, can you generate 10 writing prompts for 5th grade essays on the topic of vacations? And much like we would see with Google Bard, it is now going to generate that, but because it's right here inside of Docs, I can just drop it right in. Of course, I can refine it. I can have it shortened or elaborated or rephrased, but if I like it, I can just hit insert and it will drop it right in there. Another example of this would be, let's say we want to do a rubric here. And so I could say, hey, can you generate a rubric for 8th grade creative writing? Put it in a table with 4 levels and 5 categories. And again, it's going to generate that. And if I like it, I can just drop it right into my document there. Should be popping. There it is. Came up pretty quick. Go ahead and hit insert. And now that's been added right into the document. So more coming though with that, but that's a little sneak peek of what that's going to look like. Now, it's worth noting these are very similar services, Bard and Duet AI, but they're not going to be an all or nothing thing. So for example, right now you can turn Bard on for your users. When Duet AI comes out and that's available, it will be its own separate setting as well. So it sounds like we're going to have granular control over which ones we turn on and turn off. So, Bard is available right now. The Duet AI has not yet become available for Google Workspace users. All right. Now, in addition to going to Bard for AI and going and having it built right into Slides and Sheets and Docs and such, it's also now getting built into Search. And so just by going to a regular Google search, we'll now start having the option to get AI responses right inside of search in addition to the regular responses we get. Now, this is one I can show you as well. So let me go ahead and head back over to my personal account here. And let's do that same thing where we're trying to figure out what were the best attractions to see in Philadelphia. But instead of doing it inside of Bard, let's just run a regular Google search. So I'm just going to run a regular old Google search here. And notice on the regular Google search page, I am getting this generating section up here. And there we go. So I've got my regular search results. that we would always get. But now I've also got the AI generated ones up here as well. And I can ask a follow-up question, or I can use some of these suggested follow-ups here as well. And of course, I can rate it up or down. So I'm able to have this conversation, with the AI right inside of traditional Google search. In addition to that, another thing you'll notice is next to the traditional search results, I get this other pop-up that comes up here, and that includes the ability to send results over to Google Sheets. So what we mean by that is if I was putting together a list of, some of the best results here, I could say, oh, hey, let me just keep dropping some of these into a Google Sheet. I could click on this little Sheets button here and say, let's create a spreadsheet, and let's call this, ISTE23. And I'll create that spreadsheet, and then it's going to keep adding these in. So if I came along and said, oh, here's another good one, let's drop that on in. So I can say, let's put that into ISTE23 as well. I could add a note to it if I want, and boom, it's going to keep doing that. Now, if I open up that spreadsheet, you'll see it's basically just dropping them in. But again, what they're trying to do is create more and more integrations so that when you find a good response, you can easily move it over to a doc or a sheet or such. All right, good stuff there as well. So, the key is it's AI everywhere. It's AI in the chat bot. It's AI inside of your workspace tools. It's AI in search. Now, if you're wanting to try some of these out, again, for right now, a lot of this is not available yet for Workspace. You're going to need to use a personal account. There are a couple of links here on how you can sign up for some of these things. So, for example, they've got their what they're calling labs. So if you follow, for example, this resource link here, it'll take you out where you can say, hey, I want to sign up for search labs or for workspace labs. That's why I have access to these. So I can do the search labs because I signed up for that. And the workspace labs, same thing. This will let you be able to have AI inside of Docs and Gmail and so forth. And so I would encourage you, if you haven't yet, follow these links, sign up for these different labs so you can start trying these out well in advance of these tools becoming something that is eventually going to be an option for our students. But for right now, it is something you have to sign up for, have to be over the age of 18, have to be using your personal account. But that's great. That gives us plenty of time to experiment and learn more about how to use these tools. All right. I'm going to pause for just a second. I want to make sure. I know there's more here. There's more, but I just want to take a look and see if I missed anything in the chat. Looks like there was a little bit of communication going on. And John, if you see anything in particular that you want me to address, we can absolutely do that. Let's take a quick look here. Luis was saying, are these, all those are US, UK only for now, by the way. Okay, so that's good to know. Yes, some of the things are also regional. They're not necessarily all available to every country right now as well. Excellent, excellent. Aaron had a comment. How fun would it be to integrate that AI feature straight into the app script too? Could help you create scripts straight into a sheet, slide, etc., to customize your pages. Aaron, I love that suggestion, and that's actually something I've been playing around with recently because I used to code long ago, like way back. I have not coded for many years, and that is something I have wanted to do for quite a long time. And so I have started playing around with using Bard and ChatGPT and other tools like that to help write app script code. And soon, I hope, I'll have a blog post and a video where I can share some of the results of that. But I love what you're saying about having it just built right there into Google Sheets. We wouldn't even have to go out, just say, hey, listen, I really could use some app script that does X, Y, Z. And right there inside of Sheets, it generates it for you. It says, here's the code, copy this right into your app script section.
I think that's a really good idea, Eric. I did for a colleague who had a spreadsheet. It was a Google Sheet that had 50 plus tabs in it, separate sheets, and she wanted it to be alphabetized. And
Yeah.
so I just asked, it was ChatGPT, is the
Right.
tool I use, but I said, write me an app script to reorder the alphabetically the tabs in the Google Sheet, and it
I
did
love it.
exactly that. I put it in there, and
Yep.
we ran it, and it was like magic.
I know it is amazing. So yes, really excited because what I love about that again is, yeah, even if you're not feeling comfortable as a coder, or even if you don't do any coding at uh, all you need is the idea, and then you can work back and forth with the AI to customize it. Try out what it suggested, and if that doesn't work, give it the error that came back, and or say, hey, can we tweak it a little bit further? I've had a lot of success with having it generate script code for app script. So again, I hope to be sharing more of that soon. It's been a little bit of a crunch here at the end of the year, so I'm a little behind on putting out some of these AI videos, but look for those in the near future as I get a little bit of time to put some of those together. All right, good stuff. So, other than that, the only other things I would mention here as far as highlights from IO, um, let's see. I guess I'll mention this one real quick about getting helpful context with about this image. And I'll mention this because it's a bit of a change to how this has been done in the past. It's something that's continuing to evolve over time. When you come across an image online, and you're curious about, well, what is this image? In the past, you could use Google's reverse image search to look up, okay, where did this image come from? Then that evolved into Google Lens. So you could right click on an image and say, search with Google, and it would do a Google Lens search on it. Well, it's evolving even further. We're still going to be able to do that sort of idea, but now by clicking a three dots button above an image and then saying about this image, it's going to use the more powerful AI that we have now to be able to really dissect that image, tell you, what that image is, where it's been used, and get you a lot more context on it than we've been able to get in the past. I think that's fantastic because it's so important, especially now that AI can also generate images, that we need to evaluate the content we come across online. We can't just take things at face value and go, oh, well, I saw the picture or I saw the video, because AI is generating video as well to be able to evaluate this. And in addition to the fact that the About This Image tool is going to be available in Chrome. I also really like this, and this might get lost in the article, but I wanted to point it out here, is that Google saying, okay, we are committing to anytime our AI generates an image as well, we're going to add a markup into that original file, some sort of, metadata in there that will indicate, hey, this is an AI generated image, and that they are encouraging other publishers to do the same. And it sounds like they've gotten commitments from Midjourney and Shutterstock and others saying, okay, we will do the same. That if our AI is generating an image, there will be a way to know for sure. There'll be some metadata, there'll be something encoded into the image there that indicates who, where that was created from. So it's like, like, I guess this is just obviously not, it's just like a little visualization of what it could look like. But if you were to check this out, it would say, hey, AI generated with Google, and so it would let you know where that image came from. So that is really useful there to have that. All right. Anything else to mention? I guess couple little things. This one I'm really curious about, Project Tailwind. I have not gotten access to this yet. I did sign up right away for the lab for Tailwind, so I did join the wait list on that one. What this is Google's AI, but it's applied to your own personal set of documents. So basically, the idea is this: it's like you're creating a AI notebook, as they say, but what you can do is you can add to it like files directly from your drive. You could point it to an entire folder of documents or slideshows or PDFs or other files you have. And then you could interact with Google's AI, and it would be referencing not just everything it knows about the world, it would be referencing specifically the documents you have collected together. So the idea is, let's say I'm a student and I've got a Google Drive folder where I'm putting all of my notes for a class all year long. Well, I could have a Tailwind notebook that points to that folder, and then I could ask the AI questions based on all the notes I've taken or all the PDF files that my teacher has shared with me. I could ask it to quiz me on things. I could ask it to summarize content. So what I love about this is now we're getting more personal. So it's not just I'm going to, Chat GPT or Bard and asking it a question where it's pulling from all the content knowledge of the world. I'm saying also, look at my files. I want you to look at my notes. I want you to look at my folder here. And I want to be able to ask you questions and get summarizations based on my content as well. I think that's a really powerful thing because now we're talking about a much more personal use of AI, which I'm excited to see where that goes as well. And then the last thing I pulled out from I/O, not so much an AI thing, but it did get announced at I/O, and that is that Google Drive is getting a spam folder. Now, this has not rolled out yet, so I can't show you this one in real life. But what we're going to see down the left-hand side of Google Drive is a spam folder, much like Gmail has a spam folder. And the idea is if you get a document shared with you that really wasn't from a real person actually sharing it to you, but was one of those spam shares, which we all get those, you can add those to your spam folder. And when you do, it will unsubscribe you from that particular document's notifications. You won't get any, you'll block the person who shared it, and you won't get any more updates on that document. And also Google's AI. So there's a little AI in here. Google's AI will scan through documents. And if it feels like this seems to be a little bit of a suspicious file, it will automatically drop them directly into the spam folder for you as well. So, hey, it works great for Gmail. So this will be a nice way to have that same sort of protection in our Google Drive. All right. So that gets us through I/O. There are a few other things we're going to touch on, but let's take a pause now that we're at the end of the big I/O stretch there. I do have one last blog post at the end of there that I highlighted, which was Google listing all 100 things they announced at I/O. So if you want everything in one place, that's a good blog post for that as well. All right. Let me see. Anything else? John, did you notice anything else pop up? If not, I'm happy to keep on moving, but just wanted to check and see if there was anything else we missed in the chat there. Oh, I love this comment. I'm hoping that when AI is integrated into Workspace, that version history will reflect where Bard does its thing. Luis, that is a great question there. I am curious about exactly what that's going to look like as well, because I think version history is a tool that, even though we've had it forever, is more valuable, more important now than ever to be able to say, listen, if you are writing an essay, if you're writing a report, you need to be doing it in docs, because I, as a teacher, need to check your version history. I need to see you actually wrote this, that there wasn't just suddenly, boom, 5 paragraphs that appeared. So yeah, I am curious to see how things that, that the Duet tool suggests, because right now, the examples that I've shown, it really just looks like I pasted something in there. And again, I think I probably already closed out of my example earlier. Well, no, I didn't. Okay, it's still here. Excellent. It is still there. So like if we look at this, I'm afraid version history is just going to show that I did all of this. If I go into version history and I say see version history, it's just basically saying I did these things. So, at 1:36 p.m., I put this in there, and then at 1:37 p.m., I put this in there. Now, it's pretty telling. I doubt in 1 minute I could write all of this. So it's pretty obvious that that was pasted from somewhere. But I wouldn't that be neat though? Yeah, if in the version history, it actually indicated, pasted from the, Duet AI interface or something like that. great suggestion. I like that a lot. That's definitely one we need to pass on to Google to think about. All right, well, let's get to the tail end then of May. So, again, a lot of updates. I picked a few here that I thought were particularly interesting. Let's go ahead and touch on these as well. All right. So next up, we had a blog post talking about how in Google Docs we'll be able to easily expand and collapse content. Okay, so here's the idea behind this. Let's say you have a really big document and you want to be able to shrink it up a little bit. You know, you want to save a little space. The idea is that if you have headers in your document, you will get these little carrots, little symbols to the left of the headers that you can click on, these little down arrows, and then they will expand and contract. Well, that's pretty exciting. And I do really like the idea a lot. There's one caveat here. It has to be done if you are in pageless mode, because I was excited about this. Well, I just don't use pageless mode a lot. And so I was like, oh, this is really cool. And so I kept like refreshing our agenda thinking, well, it's going to show up. It's going to show up. And I would never get the little, these are all headers here. I would never get that little thing to expand and collapse these. Well, so what I did, I realized, I finally read it close enough. And I realized that it's only if you're in the pageless format. So here is a copy of our agenda. So I won't do it to our actual agenda. I'm a copy of our agenda. So let's say I take our agenda for today and I switch it into pageless format. So I'll go File, I'll go down to Page Setup, excuse me, and I'll switch over to pageless format. And when I do that, now that I'm in pageless format, notice what happens. Let me zoom in a little bit so you guys can see it a little bit better. So now when I come to a heading, there they are. Boom, boom, boom. I can start clicking on that little down arrow there, and I can collapse all of these different sections here. And then I can expand. Oops, I missed one there. There we go. Awesome. And then as needed, I can just expand out and say, okay, let's expand out the upcoming events and let's, collapse it again. And let's expand the show and tell and let's collapse it again. So that's the only big key thing, is that it does need to be in pageless format. But other than that, wow, that's great. So what a neat way to be able to save a little bit of time and be able to expand just the sections that you want to look at there. Good stuff. Next up, custom building blocks. So this one has been mentioned for several months. It has finally rolled out, and I will demonstrate this for you. Custom building blocks. The only thing that is a little unfortunate is it is very limited as to which tiers this is available for. Custom building blocks are just for Education Plus. So this is one that it is only for that higher level paid tier of Google Workspace. But let me show you what this is all about. So let's say I have a rubric that I like to use a lot. So let's say I've got this rubric here. It's just a table. There's nothing fancy about this. This is nothing but a table. I simply went insert table and I just created a table. So this is just a table. I've got, my 4 criteria that I want to grade on. And then I've got drop downs for each one of them. So 4, 3, 2, and 1. And these drop downs are nothing fancy. It's just the regular drop down chips that you can put in there. Then a spot for like my notes. So let's say I have this. And let's say I like to use this rubric and I want to be able to just drop it in anytime I'm grading a student's work. So maybe I've got like this George Washington report that I always use. And maybe as I'm grading this, I want to just at the bottom have that little rubric dropped in there at any time. Well, that's the idea behind custom building blocks. So with custom building blocks, what you can do is you can take anything that you've created and say, I want to save it as a custom building block. Give it a name, and then anytime you need it, you can use the at menu or you can use the insert building blocks menu, and you can drop it right in. So I tried that out. So what I did was I came in and I grabbed this and I did a right click on it and I said save as custom building block. Now I did this earlier, so I already have it saved, but I just named it like rubric. So I just called it rubric, and then I won't recreate it since I already created it once. But now that I've done that, what that means is if I'm in a document, I can go up to, for example, insert building blocks, custom building blocks, and there is my rubric sitting right there. And I could just click it and boom, it drops it right into there. If I want to be even faster, remember, I can use the at menu and just use the name for it. So if I say at rubric, since that's what I called it, there is my rubric, and boom, it just drops it right in. So anytime I need it, I have it readily available for me there. These are saved in your drive. There is a folder called custom building blocks. So that's where those are at, and that's where you'll find them. And so if I open this up, you'll see it's just basically a document that is inside of that folder. So I guess you could probably share these with people. You could create one yourself, go to that custom building blocks folder, and I don't see why it looks like a pretty normal document. You could share it with somebody, and then they could make a copy of it, and then they could put it inside of their custom building block folder, and ta-da! Now you've got that building block available for other people to use. I haven't tried that. I'd be curious if there's any hangups with that, but for sure you can definitely use it for yourself. But I'd be curious to see about the ability to share it with others and have them be able to use it as well. Again, only real negative here is that this is available for Education Plus users and not the other tiers below that in Google Workspace. All right, good stuff. Good stuff. Let's see, a couple more things here from the end of May. This was cool. I probably should have put this back up with IO, but this is a blog post from 9 to 5 Google where they mentioned a few other little things that Google has been teasing about coming to the Duet AI, the AI that's built right into Workspace. And they have a pretty nice graphic here. Let me grab it. There we go. And this does a nice job. I'll make this a little bit bigger of showing some of the things that are coming beyond what we've seen so far. So, for example, I like how in Gmail it talks about organizing your inbox. I'm curious what that means because I could definitely use some help organizing my inbox and summarizing your threads. I like that it can just take a whole thread of emails and say, here's the gist of what is, what this thread is talking about. So I've not seen this happen yet, but that was neat to see that coming up. Other ones, the ability to summarize a Google Meet conversation. That sounded really cool. In slides, we saw generating the images. How about generating soundtracks? Awesome to be able to add audio right into your slideshow as well. So a lot of neat things coming there as well. And they had a little bit extra information to share on that. All right, next up, this one I can't show you either. It's not rolled out yet, but this is adding variable chips into Google Docs. Again, only for Education Plus, so sorry about that. But this is one where the idea is, let me open up the image so you can see it a little bit better. The idea is you'll be able to have a special type of chip that you can add, which is called a variable chip. And then you can name what that chip is, like product 1, 2, 3, and 4. And as you fill in the values of those, it will update that everywhere inside of your document. So the idea basically is you could have a document set up that's more like a form letter with some key items, throughout it as variable chips. And then you would simply type in the values of those and boop, it would go all the way down through the document, filling in that content wherever those variables show up. Now, is that going to be as powerful as like Autocrat for mail merge? No, I don't think so. But could it take over some of those tasks? Maybe. I'm really curious to see how that might work. And I know Google has hinted at eventually letting the variable chips pull from a spreadsheet as well. So that feels even more like a mail merge. Anyway, this is the first sneak peek we've gotten at it. So wanted to mention that one as well. And then let's see, we've already talked about Bard getting images in its results. So we saw that. And we already talked about AI search, AI getting added into Google search. So that is it. That gets us to the end of all of the new things I wanted to mention. We are going to talk about show and tell and Q&A here in just a minute, but that was a lot. So I'm going to pause there and we'll take a look and see if questions or comments have come up in the chat. If there's something I skipped over that you were curious about, please let me know. If there's other links here that are interesting to you, please just feel free to click on those and explore them as well. But I hope that gives you a decent overview of what I felt were some of the key items over the last month that Google has announced as far as updates go. And John, as always, let me know if there's something that I missed there. Looks like Aaron asked a question about, can you share things and have them automatically show up in pageless form? Aaron, I do not know if that is something that is controlled by the person who's sharing it. I think we just need to find out. I think we just need to poke a stick at it and see what happens. So let's do this. Let's try it out. Let's reopen that document that I closed out. Here's the copy of our agenda that I put into pageless format here. So here's the copy of our agenda in pageless format. If I come up here and say I want to share this, and I say anybody with the link is allowed to view it. I don't know if we need to view it or edit it. I'm not sure. Let's start with viewing. So let's say we copy that. Here, I'll drop it in. Try it out. I'm putting that in the chat. And then I'll do the same thing. I'll just pull over one of my personal, pull up my personal account. So it's a different account here. And I will drop
Yep, it works, Eric.
And let's see. Yeah. Now,
it works.
Can we expand it and stuff? Oh, and we can. Look at that. Isn't that sweet? So if I share it as view only in pageless format, then all of these are available to expand and collapse. Now, I could, of course, give you edit rights too, but I didn't know if that was necessary. I was curious if, how far you needed to go.
Here's what's interesting. As you're expanding them and contracting them, they expand and contract in the one that you've got shared with people.
Oh, but what about when you expand and contract them?
All right,
nobody else sees it.
I just did welcome and introductions.
Interesting. So I gotcha. So because I'm the editor, if an editor does it, then it's going to do it for everybody. But if a viewer does it, so if I just left this alone like this, then you guys could expand and contract them for your own view all you want. It sounds like.
Yeah. That's an interesting one. I actually was talking to a colleague, and we use Google Docs for our meeting agendas, and he was asking if it was he wanted an accordion, and I didn't know this feature was available, but actually that would work the same as an accordion for hiding large amounts of content, and then when you get to talking about them, you can just expand them. I think it's a nice addition.
Yeah. So for clarity on that, it says editors of a document will have the ability to set the default state of headers to expanded or collapsed. Users with view and comment access can expand and collapse content when they have it open, and when they close the document, those changes are not saved. That's just what they're viewing while they are viewing it as a viewer or a commenter.
Now, is it only heading size 1, or is it anything that's designated a header?
I believe it's every heading. Yeah. Okay. I don't think it's just heading size 1. So you could have nested ones inside of there. Now, again, we can find out. So we could take something like, important links, and I could say, let's demote that to a heading 2. And oh no, yep, it did.
Yeah, it did. Nice.
It did. I had to redo it. But it's not really nested. Oh wait, did it nest it? Oh, it did nest it. When I opened it and closed it back up, it nested it, and then it nested inside of it. Oh my gosh, look at that. So yeah, so you could do nested accordions as well. So that's pretty cool. So now if I open it all up, they're all in there, but you could nest inside of there as well. Neat.
So yet another reason, Eric, why people would want to mark up their documents with headings.
Yes.
Because you can do this. You can also do tables of contents.
Yeah, that's how I always do the table of contents that we have. Yeah. Oh, that's great. And how about the side view too, right, John? Over here. Yeah.
Oh,
so you get the summary on the side, or the outline. So you get the outline on the side. You get the table of contents here. And now you've also got collapsible sections.
Many ways to navigate through a long document.
Yeah. And don't forget, headings allow you to hyperlink as well. I know that's what's happening up here, but in general, that's also how I do choose your own adventure stories, is because headings are hyperlinkable. You can jump to them. That's when I do my session on choose your own adventure stories. We use headings because you can jump to them as choices in a story as well. So headings, they're pretty snazzy.
And you can format headings to be any size that you want.
Yes. Yeah. You don't have to go with the standard that's there. You can change it, then come up here to the heading and say update heading 1 to match. And whatever you've changed it to down here, it'll make all of the heading 1s become that all at once. Yeah. Hey, headings are pretty awesome.
Headings are awesome.
How about that? That's great. All right. Was there anything else that we missed? Looks like there was a question about. Looks like Dallas answered a question. Katie had asked, does Control F work with collapsed sections? Oh, can you search inside of a collapsed session? And Dallas said it doesn't seem to work. Oh, interesting. So if a section is collapsed, like, if we know that there's a particular word, inside of one of these, sections here. So I don't know what would be a good example, but if I pick a word, we'll grab like the word quicker, if I have it, expanded and I go Control F and I type in the word quicker, then it finds it right away, of course. But then the question was, if you've collapsed that, and then let me collapse these. Sorry about that. There we go. If I collapse these and then I say find and I type in quicker, yeah, look at that. Yeah, it's not available if it's collapsed. That's interesting. That's too bad. I think it would be nice if it was. What if you go into the advanced search? Is there a... No, I don't see an advanced option to do that, because that would be nice to be able to jump to the spot you need, even if it is collapsed.
What about an expand all option? Or a contract all option if you have them like that?
Yeah, not that I know of. But I think that would be good too. I think that would be really good.
Then you could do it.
This is a pretty new,
and then search. Oh yeah, we can always find.
It's a pretty new feature, but I love all those suggestions. Yeah, expand all, collapse all. There should be a button for that, and then to be able to search within. Neat. Hey, see, that's what I said. We are your lead learners. We may be leading the show, but we are learning with you. This is what it's all about. And so I love learning with everybody. So thank you so much for the wonderful questions I didn't even think of. Those are great questions. All right. Well, let's go ahead and wrap up what was new. We're going to move into show and tell and Q&A. But if anybody has any questions, definitely continue to post those in the chat or ask, and we'll do our best to address any of those. But let's go ahead and move on to our show and tell. Again, since Stephanie and Sarah aren't able to be with us, I'll just, as always, give a shout out to sign up for Sarah's weekly email newsletter and Stephanie's Google group that she shares out wonderful things with as well. Again, I don't see anything in the community show and tell, but if somebody has something, feel free to drop stuff in there. If there's something that you want to give a shout out for, we would love to learn from you. As far as mine, not a whole lot. Again, it's been a really busy end of the year, so things have not been able to put out quite as much content as I normally try to, but no worries. A couple of things I'll mention. I've still been doing my EdTech links of the week. I was able to do 2 of them during the month of May. I would encourage you to check out those. In each case, basically what I'm doing is sharing 3 or 4 or 5 cool things I've come across recently. And so it's been, things like the library extension or vocab boost or the MyBib, citation generator. And then on the 22nd, I shared a number of things there as well, like YouTube transcript, Number Hive, GE Teach, Draftback, Toucan. and those AI experiments we talked about. In each case, I do these as a live stream. So, hey, if you catch it live, fantastic. You can ask questions and share comments during it, but no worries. You can just watch the recording later as well. In each case, I give a explanation of those different resources, and you can also just watch the recorded video as well, where I go through each of those. Now, I typically do those on Monday nights. With summer being here, much like GEG Ohio, chances are probably not going to have many of those over the summer. The best thing to do is just subscribe to the live stream calendar, so that when I do get those scheduled again, probably closer to the new school year, you will catch those new ones as they get on the calendar. What I have posted, though, recently, a couple webinar recordings. I would definitely get these on your radar if you got some time to check them out. I did a webinar for the Week of AI that Teacher Goals was doing, and I did a session on, that was this one. Sorry, I did two of them here. This one, The Bard's Tale, this was the one for Teacher Goals. Sorry about that. So The Bard's Tale, Google AI in Education. This was a week-long AI-themed PD with 18 different people doing sessions. I was just one of the 18, and the session I did was about Google AI. It's about a 45-minute long video, and I run through lots of different Google AI tools and try to show lots of examples of how teachers and students can use these AI tools, because it's changing so fast. At the moment, this is the most up-to-date video that I have out there as far as Google AI tools, but I'll continue to try to stay on top as more and more AI tools come out from Google. The other one I did was Google Screencast. So this one, I did a short video like a year ago when Screencast first came out, but it was only like a 10-minute long video. And so I'd always meant to do a more full video on this. And so this is about a 41-minute webinar that really dives deep into Screencast, and not just the buttons that you click, but also ideas on how can this be used in a classroom setting. So I run through lots of different examples of ways that teachers can use it and students can use it as well. So both of those webinars are available there. And I got a chance to be on a podcast, the Edu Protocols podcast. I would encourage you to check that out as well. I talked about my tier list activity that I shared a couple months back. Great folks, really neat podcast. If you're looking for another one to listen to, I would definitely encourage you to check that one out. All right. So those are some of my recent show and tell things. I can't speak to this last one other than it's one that's on my to-do list to check out more. It's called CapCut, another free video editor. I have not had a chance to try it out yet, so I don't want to say too much as far as how well it works, but I do like Chrome Unboxed. They share great resources. So this one is definitely one I want to take a look at, especially when we talk about editing video on Chromebooks. It's always good to have more options there. John, did you have anything to add in as far as show and tell information or anything to comment on with any of that?
No,
No worries.
I'm again astounded at how much information has come out in the last month from Google, and
I know,
just getting through all of that. And I've been busy with my own projects. We are starting an AI think tank. We had discussed that before the stream got started, but we're hoping to document our journey as we learn more about AI and work out how we can use it in education ethically and effectively. So I'm going to continue to work on that. Would be sure to have some things to share in August.
Excellent. And I don't see anything in the Q&A, and that's okay. That's totally fine. We certainly are happy to take questions if there are any, but if not, that's perfectly fine as well. So let's do this. Let's start to pull things together here. I'll do a little bit of wrap up, a little bit of housekeeping stuff, and we'll give everybody one last chance. If you've got a question or a resource or something, you can also just throw things in the chat as well. But as we start to wrap up, first of all, again, just thank you, everybody, so much. Oh, looks like we got a little bit of something extra added into our document up here. We'll probably have to clear that out. Sorry about that, guys. Here, let's. That's fine. We'll just take that out. There we go. We're back to normal. That's the beauty of an editable document. You never know what might pop up in it from time to time. But as we start to wrap up, first of all, thank you so much. Just thanks for being with us here today and all year long, and for the years that we've been doing this. It's fantastic to learn with everybody. Want to remind you a couple of quick things. First of all, no meetings this summer. Please relax, enjoy, have a wonderful time. We look forward to learning with you again at the end of August. So please do add this onto your calendar so that you won't miss our summer wrap up when we get back together in August. If you didn't get a chance to sign in, remember on page 2 of the agenda is the sign-in form so that I can send you your certificate of attendance. And be sure to join our Google Educator group of Ohio. There'll be a lot of things shared over the summer. This is a great way to stay plugged in, stay connected. I'd encourage you to join that group, ask questions, share resources, and stay connected with others. Let's take a last pass down through here and see if there's anything else we missed. Not seeing any comments in the margins, so that seems okay. And nothing else at the bottom. So I believe we're good. John, did you have anything as we wrap up here?
I'd just like to wish everybody in the Northern Hemisphere, at least, a safe and happy summer. And I hope that you guys have a chance to rest and recreate before we get back into it again in August. And I'm certainly looking forward to some summer. And for our friends in the Southern Hemisphere, I hope that you manage to weather the winter, and people down under get a little bit of snow so they can go skiing. And we'll look forward to seeing you again in August.
Sounds great. Thanks so much. Take care, everybody, and see you later.